Story time. The smartest giant in town. George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town, and he always wore the same old sandals and the same old patched up gown. I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said sadly. He soon found a shop full of clothes, so he bought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, some smart socks with diamonds up the side, and a pair of smart shiny shoes. Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said proudly. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound on the pavement, and there stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my neck," said the giraffe. "It's so long and so cold. I need something to warm it up." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his stripy tie. It didn't match my socks anyway, and he wrapped it up around the giraffe. "Thank you," said the giraffe. And as George strode home, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a river, and on a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sail," said the goat. "It's blown away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his new white shirt. It kept coming untucked anyway, he said, as he tied it to the mast on the goat's boat. It made a magnificent sail. "Thank you," said the goat. George strode on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for the goat, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse and her baby mice. They were all squeaking. "What's the matter?" said George. "It's our house. It's burnt down," said Mother Mouse. "And now we have nowhere to live. I wish I had a new house." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. "It was giving me blisters anyway," he said, as the baby scrambled into the home. "Thank you," they squeaked. "It made a perfect home." George hopped along, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for the goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to his campsite. Beside the tent stood a fox who was crying. "What's the matter?" "It's my sleeping bag," said the fox. "I dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a warm one to sleep in." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his sock. "It was tickling my toes anyway," he said. "Thank you," said the fox. George hopped along, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for the goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, one of my socks is a bed for the fox, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a big squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's this bog," said the dog. "I get stuck across it. It's stuck in the mud." "I wish there was a safe dry path," said the dog. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his smart new belt. "It was stuck in my tummy anyway," he said, and he laid it down over the bog. "Thank you," said the dog, and George hopped on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for the goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." "But, oh no, my trousers have fallen down. I'm the coldest giant in town." Suddenly George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart, and he stood on one foot and thought, "Oh no, I'll have to go and buy some more clothes." When he got to the shop, it was shut, but he noticed a bag of clothes outside. "My gown, my dear old gown," he said, "and my sandals. And now I'm the coziest giant in town." And he danced back home along the road. Outside his front door stood all the animals he had helped, and they were carrying an enormous card and present. And inside it said, "Your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, your shirt's on a boat as a sail for the goat, your shoe is a house for a little white mouse, one of your socks is a bed for a fox, you helped a dog, he was crossing the bog, so here is a very fine crown, and your sandals for the kindest giant in town." And that's the end.